Right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to KUMBTV's Eyes Up Mother Brown. We are back for another Premier League encounter between West Ham United and Brentford. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to KUMBTV. And I've got a face full of food, so I'm just going to finish this before we go live. So bear with me for a second. Thank you. Okay, today's referee is Michael Oliver, and I am joined in the virtual KUMB studio by my good friend and KUMB sidekick Rio. We'll be with you in just a second. The game has kicked off. We're inside the first minute. For those of you who haven't got streams, have a look on the KUMB.com forum. There's bound to be one or two on there, or just listen along to myself and Rio when we get you up and running in just a second. Pardon me. Very late breakfast this morning. There we go. We are live. I'm just going to bring Rio in just a second. I'm going to have a little shuffle over this way. There we go. I'm going to bring my partner for the afternoon, Rio, in onto the stream. What do you think of the lineup team? Let us know. You pleased with all the changes David Moyes have made, or do you think it's a little bit too much in the circumstances? Of course, big game coming up next Thursday, away to Alkmaar, and yeah, inevitably, I guess some changes being made. Rio, good to see you, buddy. How are you?
Okay, mate. Not too bad, thank you.
Awesome. Apologies for the slight lateness. As I said, I was just catching up on a bit of breakfast. A very late morning. Eurovision party last night here at KUMB Towers, and yeah, it's a bit of did you watch it, Rio? I'm guessing you're not particularly a Eurovision fan, but did you tune in last night?
Not at all. Not at all. No interest. Carry on. You go for it, mate.
Well, you don't know what you're missing. Well, not much actually. It was pretty terrible. To cap the show, it was a bit of a foregone conclusion from the moment the voting began, and there was about 2 hours of it last night. It went on and on and on and on. Yet we all knew it was going to win after about 2 votes, because the Swedish entry was by far and away ahead of anyone else, and they won it. Of course, it was staged in Liverpool. So I'm guessing half the city are waking up to no hubcaps this morning. But hey, no, it's terrible, and it's sticking to those tropes. Shouldn't do it. Shouldn't do it. Lovely city, lovely people. So I'm told. Anyway, how are you, Rio? How's everything? All good?
Yeah, mate. Yeah. As per usual, we go live, and my stream blacks out. So I'm now trying to scurry around, find an alternative. It's been absolutely perfect until you actually let me on.
It's always the way, isn't it? It's always
Story of my life.
Anyway, while Rio's struggling to find a replacement stream, I'll try and keep you up to date with what's going on as long as mine holds on, that is. We do have a corner right now for Brentford, second in a row, played short. Clipped into the box, but headed clear by West Ham. Due to the quality of my stream, I'm actually struggling to see who that was. But anyway, it was headed clear, and Brentford had the ball on the halfway line. Rio, give us a shout when you're back in, mate, and we'll
do, mate. We'll do.
You're good. Rio, of course, now you were at the London Olympic Stadium on Thursday night, and pretty momentous occasion, all things considered.
It was scary. Let's put it that way. It wasn't our greatest performance, obviously, in the first half, but we got the job done. We're halfway there, and you know, at this stage of the tournament, I know AZ didn't look particularly impressive on Thursday night, and we kind of the victims of our own demise in the first half. But they play some very tidy football. They're very well organised. They're very fit. So it's not by any means job done. It's going to be a very, very tough battle. And as someone really cheerfully reminded me on yesterday, AZ haven't lost for 26 home games in European competition. So, yeah, all my nerves, which had kind of, not dissipated whatsoever, are now through the roof, occupying next door on both sides. I'm the bundle of absolute anxiety at the moment. Yeah,
their home record's pretty good. It's fair to say. Was it 26? Did you say, Rio? In a row?
26 European games in, unbeaten.
Yeah, not bad going.
We've got a tough task ahead of us on Thursday. I don't know if you've had a chance to go through the team lineup today, but David Moyes has actually gone sensible and he's actually kept an eye on European competition. We're resting 9 of the players who started on Thursday night. So I think that's a real kind of a buoyant attitude to take and it's going to really hearten the West Ham supporters, because now we all saw what happened last year when we kind of burnt out and the whole season fizzled out because the players were just absolutely running on empty. Yep. So giving players a break today is a really good big positive for me. And now we've still got a fair lineup out there. It's just nice to give those who have been putting the shift in, week out, a little bit of a break.
Yeah, totally agree. I think it's a really good call by Moisey. That saying that, we were almost a goal behind. Excuse me, a few seconds ago. Cross coming from the left-hand side, sent into the 6-yard box, and Damsgaard actually got in ahead of Flynn Downs, and the header had beaten Fabianski. Fortunately for West Ham, it just flew narrowly wide of the far post. But West Ham slightly fortunate to still be on level terms. But Hammer's on the ball now and firmly wedged in the opponent's half. Cross comes in from Tommy Souček. Might be the worst cross I've ever seen in my life. Kind of tried to lift it, lob it. I don't know what he was doing. Kind of float it to the far post, and there was no one within about 15 yards of the ball. But anyway, good to see West Ham with some attacking intent. Rio, we've got a few predictions coming from the team so far. Let's have a quick look and see what we've got here. Only a couple actually. David O'Rourke, good to see you, Dave. 2-1 Hammers win, and Stevie Palmer going for a 1-1 draw. No other predictions in so far. If you want to get one in, go on, you can for the next couple of minutes. It's still early doors. What are you thinking today, Rio? I mean, given that we've got a much changed team out there, are you hopeful for this one?
I didn't have much hope, to be honest, because Brentford's a bit of a bogey ground for us to visit. I know we won in the FA Cup early in the season, but we're not had much joy at Griffin Park or the G-Tech Stadium over the years. Obviously, Ivan Toney's missing for the home side, which again is a massive boost for us.
Yeah.
But with kind of a second string out for us, I was just, if we streak a draw here, I'll be more than happy. But I'm not entirely full of optimism today.
Yeah, sort of stop-start season, haven't they, Brentford? They had some good patches and, lost some games that perhaps they would have expected to win. But I think you're right. I think the omission of Ivan Toney is a huge blow for them today and a big bonus for us. But again, as you pointed out, Rio, we've got an awful lot of changes in there. I mean, who's coming today? Who's different? We got it'd be easy to say who's still in the team, and I think the only one still starting is Souček and Aguerd. Yes, O'Connor didn't play, did he? Because he was out. So so just those two remaining from Thursday's lineup. So as Rio pointing out, there, it really is an experimental side from David Moyes, but. A huge game on the horizon on Thursday. I think we're going to spend a bit of time talking about this, Rio, because it is let's be honest, it's a fairly momentous occasion this week at the club. First semi-final win in Europe since '76, I think. I don't think we've won a game at that level since then, have we? So, it was a bit of a first. How are you feeling about the? Obviously AZ have got a fantastic home record, as you just pointed out. Are you confident? You think we can do enough? I mean, I think the good thing is that we've got that lead, haven't we? And we only really need to score one more, and they're in a bit of trouble, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of the apprehension on the opening half on Thursday night was a lot of it was down to last year. I think everyone was a little bit apprehensive, really cautious not to make the same kind of errors that come into play against Frankfurt. Yeah, because obviously in that home leg there, we went a goal down incredibly early. It didn't only kill the atmosphere, but it almost killed the tie itself. So I think there's a lot of apprehension, people not wanting to repeat the same mistakes. As I said, AZ, they're obviously a bunch of talented individuals. There's no kind of real standout players. They work as a sum of parts, basically. Yeah. But I saw nothing that really terrifies me. The only thing that terrifies me is our team itself and our paucity to kind of play ourselves into trouble at times. I mean, as we saw Thursday night, and Alphonse Areola will be having nightmares about that. I mean, you can kind of point fingers about the build-up to it, but you should never be beaten as a keeper. And as an international keeper of his kind of reputation, you should never be beaten in a near post like that. we worked hard to get back in into the tie. Thought we played some incredibly nice football in the second half, and eventually wasn't the prettiest of goals to actually win the tie. But yeah, they all can, don't they? So, you know, I still think we're the better out of the two units. It's just whether our mental fortitude comes to the fore, as well as our physical one. But obviously, given the rest of the day for the core of the players involved on Thursday night is a massive boost for us, as you say. And I'm incredibly apprehensive. I messaged a few people after the game, and they messaged me. The nerves are flying about all around the West Ham support, as you can understand. But, you know, I'm erring on the side of slight optimism rather than complete despair at the moment.
It's funny, isn't it? I mean, we're sort of kind of conditioned as West Ham supporters to expect the worst over the years. We'll come back to the game in just a moment, by the way. It's just the reason where we're talking about the AZ games, because there's nothing happening. 12 minutes gone, still Brentford nil, West Ham nil. No real goal scoring opportunity since that one from the 7th minute that we mentioned when Damsgaard beat down the header. There's some interesting points you make there, and I've got to say, I'm unusually confident, and I say unusually because at a semi-final this stage, you know, looking back, your Lutons, your Birminghams and all that, you know, there's even when we played Birmingham, what was it, 10, 11 years ago in the Carling Cup semi-final, I was pretty confident then, but not quite as confident as then. I mean, I think you made the point there that I watched their team. Yes, they scored. Yeah, it was a bit of an error from Areola, and oddly enough, I mentioned on the stream on Thursday, very, very similar to the David De Gea goal in the sense that the shot was pretty weak and took a bounce before it got there, and the keeper should have saved it. Also, bottom right as well, same size, same side. But I can't recall a single decent chance Alkmaar created apart from that, and even that wasn't really a decent chance, was it? It was kind of a speculative sort of long range effort. So from that perspective, I mean, Pavlidis, the guy we were told was going to be really, really dangerous, I don't think he touched the ball in our box more than once or twice. Completely out of the game. Yes, of course, they're missing the two lads on the left-hand side, whose names I forget, but both begin with KU. They're expecting back for Thursday. But I can't see, and this will be the kiss of death, but I can't see any problems for us Thursday. I think this result absolutely suits us down to the ground. You know, we've got the lead, which obviously means they've got to come at us and try and score that goal, get back on level terms, which of course inevitably should leave space for us to exploit at the back, and that's our game. Under David Moyes, that's the way we play. So I think the way it's kind of set up should suit us down to the ground, and I certainly see us scoring at least one over there. And of course, if we do get one, it means it's going to open up even more. So yeah, I'm kind of unusually confident, which means it's bound to go all belly up on the night. But and also thought, I don't know what you felt about this, but I was sitting here on Thursday on the stream, and I was getting kind of frustrated with the first half performance. There was one or two points in that first half where they had the ball just inside their own half, and they were playing the ball from left to right across the back four, and they were looking at West Ham's players as if to say, they're kind of inviting them to come and do something. They're looking at them and say, well, are you going to come and tackle us or not? And there was Mickey Antonio and Lucas Paquetá just kind of standing on the other side of the halfway line, almost like, they could say, well, we've kind of been instructed not to jump in and hold our shape. And it was all a bit weird for a bit. But I kind of felt that we'd learnt the lessons from last year in that sense that even when we went behind, there was no panic. We didn't sort of start to go gung-ho. We kept our shape. Moyes said that, at half-time, instructed the team to kind of stay patient and wait for the chances to come, which they did in the end. I mean, I guess we were slightly fortunate in that sense. But, I felt we learnt from last year in that sense that there was no panic. We didn't, same scenario, we went one behind, but it was kind of like, I think it was a bit more like the Ghent game where, it was like, we kind of thought, well, we are the strongest team here. If we carry on playing the way we like to play, it should fall into place. And it did in the end, but yeah, I'm too confident. I don't know. Unusually confident, but I'm expecting to see us line up in Prague in a few weeks' time for the final. So, what was the atmosphere like over there, Rio, on Thursday? I mean, reports are that it was pretty lively, but you was always kind of concerned that once they scored that goal, it might affect a few of the fans.
Yeah, there wasn't the ferocity of the Frankfurt game last year, because that really was absolutely electric. it's kind of toned down a bit. Again, I think the apprehension from last year kind of crept in, not into the team, but the support as well.
Yeah.
And obviously the way we set up in the first half, I mean, I thought we was a little bit overly cautious. We weren't aggressive enough in the press. We, as you say, we gave them far too much time to play the ball around, which they do with absolute aplomb. So yeah, that kind of tempered the atmosphere a little bit. And obviously going a goal behind, there was a few angry people over there in that first half, particularly towards the end of it. But in the second, as if like we had a little bit of a rejuvenation. There's obviously a lot more self-belief in the squad because after the last 5 or 6 weeks, we've got core players and key players coming into form. All the bits are finally gelling together, and that little bit of self-belief, and we never thought we was out of it. Obviously, as time told, we obviously come back and won, but there wasn't the despondency when we went the goal behind that like this is game over. We're going to end up capitulating. Yeah. There was always that belief that we'd get back in the game, and obviously as the equaliser went in, which to be honest I did think Saeed was going to miss, but he's proved himself to be an excellent penalty taker.
Yeah,
I'm always apprehensive when a West Ham player takes a penalty nowadays. It's not a thing of joy; it's a thing of sheer terror. But yeah, no, the crowd stuck with us, and once that the equaliser went in, the whole mood lifted, and for me, there was only ever going to be one winner.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I mean, it came across really well actually on the stream from what little you know what it's like when you're listening to these streams. You only hear little bits in the background, but it sounded quite positive, which was good. And as you say, it all turned out all well in the end. Let's hope it stays that way on Thursday night. Hopefully, we'll have a stream for you then. But we'll bring you details of that later in the week on KUMB. Coming back to the game here at the at Brentford Community Stadium, still 0-0. 18 minutes gone now. The reason we've been talking about the Alkmaar games because there's absolutely nothing happening in this one at the moment. West Ham have made 9 changes. There was a brief moment of hope for West Ham when Danny Ings burst into the box a few minutes ago. Nice little back heel into the path of Manny Lanzini, who tried to square it. It looked for a moment that it might be a handball shout because it kind of hit the midriff of the Brentford defender, but it didn't. And game goes on. So we're just coming up to 19 minutes in. Still Brentford 0, West Ham United 0. Only one shot. I think so far, and that was the 7th-minute effort from Damsgaard. It's actually a header. Cross coming in for the left-hand side. Damsgaard beating Downs to the header and nodding it just wide. Fabianski would have been beaten. I think it would have gone inside the post, but that's all speculative because it didn't happen. So it's still 0-0 here. West Ham, as Rio pointed out, at the top of the stream with 9 changes to the team. I wonder if there's going to be any comeback from the Premier League on this, Rio, because we've seen this before, haven't we? Where I mean, I guess we might be a little bit more fortunate because we're not kind of playing anyone involved in a relegation or title challenge or battle. But do you think there might be any sort of comeback from the FA? We've seen it before, haven't we? We saw, was it Blackpool a few years ago got fined for fielding a weaker team against Liverpool? Just wondered, with those 9 changes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we'll be under any kind of threat at all. I mean, I'm just looking at the lineup now. The entire back 5, say 3 of them are regular starters anyway. They played a hell of a lot of Premier League games for us. And Brentford have just scored, by the way.
We're behind. Brentford have scored. West Ham losing possession in the centre of the pitch, Rio. Ball played out. They always had a man over, and the ball played out to the right-hand side. And I think it's Mbuemo, who I believe scored against us earlier in the season, who's put the ball in the back of the net. Let's have another look here just to see exactly what happened. But West Ham caught with the overload on the right-hand side. Brentford having the extra man in, Mbuemo pushing into the box and just rolling the ball into the bottom right-hand corner underneath Fabianski. I think it's Flynn Downs who loses the ball. They always had a man over. It's actually a bit like a rugby league move in that they played it from left to right and found the man far side who just put it over the line. Fabianski might have done a bit better, possibly. Let's have another look at this. I mean, it's kind of rolled under his hand, Rio. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit slow to get down and also, again, weak-handed. That's the 3rd game of the bounce. We've seen some really poor goalkeeping, and you do expect better from Fab. And if he wants to pressurise Alphonse for a pace in potential European final, he's got really sharpen up there. And that was poor keeping. But it was poor defending all round by West Ham.
Yeah.
Now, but Brentford, as you said, had a man over on the left-hand side, acres of space, and then Bowman just basically rolled the ball in the back of the net. But yeah, poor keeping as well to kind of put the ice on the cake for Brentford there. Very, very soft goal to give away.
Mbeumo was racing down the right-hand side again now. He's put a deep cross in, but there's nobody coming in at the far post, and it just rolls out for a West Ham throw. And again, with a poor pass, says APD, who I understand is putting up some blinds today. So if anyone needs any home improvement tips, APD looks like he's your man. Let us know how you get on, APD, if it's a successful job or not. But
don't put one in front of your screen, mate. Not yet. Wait till we go 2 down.
Yeah, it might be the best bet. 22 minutes gone, just coming up to the halfway point in the first half. Brentford with that early lead coming from Mbeumo just a few seconds ago, putting the ball in the bottom right-hand corner. Yeah, well, what's your verdict on the way the goal was made there, Rio? I mean, it's kind of, again, sort of architects of our own demise to a degree.
Yeah, and again, I think it's about 4th or 5th time in like 5 or 6 games that we've played ourselves into trouble and put extreme pressure on our back four, who were like obviously a man short. Because was it Emerson who's gone AWOL there? Not for the.
Well, certainly nowhere to be seen when
he was AWOL for the first Palace goal when that happened as well.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's just very poor defending. Again, it's very reminiscent of the way that Thomas Souček played us into trouble at Sellers Park a couple of weeks back.
Yeah,
very slack ball out from the back. And we just really gifted possession of Brentford, and with their pace and power, they're always going to be a bit threatening. And yeah, with a man down, it's just poor all round, very poor all round.
Brentford have a free kick. It's delivered to the back post where Mbeumo again is unmarked and able to send the ball back into the box. West Ham still haven't got it quite clear yet, but Maxwell Cornet drops in and plays it short to Emerson, who lofts the ball forward, but it's come straight back at West Ham. Ben Johnson getting muddled up with Thomas Souček, and he's kind of managed to scramble the ball away to Emerson, who's played it down the left for Cornet, and West Ham look to actually build something there. I've got to say, Rio, for the opening 20 minutes, this looks like a team that's had 9 changes made to it so far. Not a lot of cohesion and quality football from West Ham. Yeah,
and the thing is, like 2 or 3 of those haven't really had much game time at all, have they? Cornet's been absent virtually most of the season, and his reintegration into the side has been very much in fits and starts. Manuel Lanzini's been like virtually on the missing list. Dan Ings, he's had a bit more game time, but it's again been in fits and starts and in setups that doesn't really suit him. So yeah, our attacking kind of output today is matching lacking match sharpness and match fitness. So, but again, the goal comes from slack defending, which a lot of them players have actually had game time and should be a lot sharper. They've been in the side on a pretty regular basis, most of them. But again, we're just making silly basic errors, and it's the West Ham of old, isn't it? Against a team like Manchester United, flying up the table. I thought we was the better side throughout. Against a somewhat lesser team in Brentford, we kind of do the old West Ham thing of playing to the level of the opposition and failing. Yeah.
Can't argue with any of that. We've just seen the probably quite unique spectacle of Manny Lanzini going in for a header against the considerably taller Janelt, and the Brentford player ending up requiring treatment as a result of the challenge from Manny Lanzini. But yeah, I'm sure that hasn't happened that often in the past, but that's why we've got a break in play at the moment. There was a brief foray from West Ham just before that. Maxwell Cornet broke on the left-hand side. Danny Ings involved. Pablo Fornals tried to find some runners in front of him, couldn't quite find the space, and the move broke down eventually. But yeah, West Ham just looking like, as we said, a team that haven't played an awful lot together, as is the case with all these changes in there today. Been an interesting weekend again, Rio, in the Premier League. Some big results in the relegation battle yesterday. There's another one taking place today. Everton hosting Manchester City, which is currently 0-0 after 25 minutes. Leeds to Newcastle 2, Southampton 0, Fulham 2, Chelsea 2, Forest 2, and Bournemouth beaten 2-0 at Palace, Rio. Has it changed your mind on the 3 to 4 next week?
Not really. I mean, Southampton obviously have now confirmed to go down, and let's be honest, they've been woefully poor for most of the season, deserve to.
Yeah.
Leicester, they're not looking at all promising, are they? Dean Smith come in with his reputation as being much more of a defensive manager, realised that his team can't defend whatsoever, so he's gone a little bit gung-ho,
Yeah.
and he's paying the price for that. So I don't expect them to stay up. It's that last spot. It's between Leeds, Everton and Forest. The result the other night for Everton against Brighton was just, it was a bit of a shocker.
Unbelievable, wasn't it?
Brighton doing exactly what we did a few years ago in the Bilic era, going in with a few games to go, could have got Champions League football for the first time in history.
Yeah.
And go a goal down early, and they just went completely gung-ho and lost the plot. And I can't see them recovering from that, Brighton. Everton have now got a fighting chance, despite them being absolutely abysmal. I still think Leeds will go, but it's interesting that we've got to play both Leicester and Leeds still.
Yeah.
So we've got a big part to play in this.
Yes. If you were going to throw one, which of the two would you throw? Or would you rather see both? I mean, personally, I'd love to see Everton go. I think that it's long past their time to have the taste of a bit of Championship football. I don't like them as a club, and irrationality going back many years, which I won't go into. But I'm not sure I see Leeds or Leicester getting any more points. Against us, maybe.
Against us is the obvious answer, isn't it? But
that's their biggest chance,
with
isn't
you on Everton. They've been poorly managed for the last few years now. And for employing Frank Lampard alone, they deserve everything they get.
Yes.
And they're a club with a rich footballing history, but it's a club that I lost a lot of respect for post 1986. Again, for reasons I won't go into, but and as Terry Brown once said, surely it's their turn.
Yeah.
Surely it's their turn to go. So I'd love to see Everton go down. And also, I'd like to see Leeds go down, to be honest. Now, I think Forest to come back into the Premier League. And for me, that's their rightful home, top flight football. And it's a club that I've got a couple of friends who support. And I always enjoy my days out at Nottingham. And, I'd just like to see them have another crack next year. I'd like to see what Steve Cooper can actually do with a squad that he actually wants, rather than the old Chelsea thing of being thrown 58 players at him and go say, deal with that. But I think he's actually done quite well under the circumstances. But I'd like to see Forest get another shot next year. I couldn't care less if Leeds stay up. I couldn't care less if Everton stay up, and I couldn't care less if Leicester stay up. So as long as two of them three do go, I'm happy.
Yeah, it's from a purely selfish perspective, I'd quite like to see. I mean, they're not all going to do it, but I'd quite like to see Leeds, Forest and Leicester start, because they're pretty much my three closest Premier League grounds. So it would be nice to keep at least one of them in anyway. Well, at least one of them will stay, because Southampton have already gone, of course. I mean, Forest had that fantastic result, didn't they? I mean, I think we expect them to beat Southampton, but it was a good result for them. And I think they're probably all right now. Everton, as I say, I'm not sure I see Leeds or Leicester catching either Forest or Everton at the moment, even though Everton have only got 33. But as you say, Rio, a lot of it hinges upon our performances, whether or not we're going to be going for it. If hopefully we've got a European final to look forward to, because that's surely got to take priority, hasn't it, over one or two Premiership places or Premier League places? Absolutely.
I mean, I've always thought our Premiership status was pretty much secured. I still think 34 will keep most clubs up.
Yeah.
We're on 37 now. But the opportunity, if we do progress on Thursday night, the opportunity to win our first major trophy in 43 years, I'm actually dismissing Inter Toto there, because I'm still maintaining that as the only thing I've actually seen as winning person. So for me to dismiss that as not a major trophy is a major step forward for the club. For the first, it must take priority. We have to throw everything into that.
Yeah.
Whoever we get in the final, if we do make it, if it be it Basel, be it Fiorentina, again, it's going to be a really stern test. They're not the greatest clubs in the world, but both got pretty rich histories, both more than capable. But we need to win some silverware. The fans have been crying out for it for so long. We deserve a little bit of joy and a little bit of success. And, you know, if the lasting legacy of the David Sullivan era is having to pay for another little one of them strips around the Olympic Stadium with a trophy on it and winners of whatever, 2023, fork out, Dave, because I want to see that there. I want to see the Toto installed on that trophy kind of ball thing, because it's sorely overlooked.
Yes, Mets, of course. Going back to trying to think what the year was it 99, 2000?
99, yep.
1999. The Hammers, of course, famously won down in the first leg. Looked like we might have shades of that on Thursday night, but fortunately it didn't turn out that way. Luis Sahara, I think, if I remember rightly, scored the goal for Mets that night.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we went over there. Was it 3-0 or 3-1, Rio? I can never remember.
3-1.
3-1, thank you.
3-1, yeah.
So a great. People who were there often say it was the greatest night they've had following West Ham abroad. So let's hope we've got one or maybe even two more better nights to come in the next few days and weeks. That final, of course, June the 7th in Prague in the 20,000 capacity stadium. Thousands of Hammers have already booked their tickets for Prague, so it's going to be an interesting one if we get over there. But anyway, that's a long way off at the moment. It's an interesting stat for you, Rio. Coming back to today's game, apparently Brentford have only lost once this season after opening the scoring, whereas West Ham have only won once after conceding first. We could probably just wrap this stream up now, then, couldn't we? Call it a day.
Yeah, has anyone got some more blinds to put up? Because you can see where this is going, this one.
Yeah. 32 minutes on the clock. Anyway, Rio, how's your stream going? Where are you on your clock? You may be ahead here.
I'm back on stream number 4. I'm 33 minutes in. I've just seen Brentford have another shot on target, which Fabianski's done with quite well, but we're giving far too much space away there. Ball coming from on the right-hand side. Again's just standing off, giving, I think it was Mbeumo again, far too much time and space to get a turn on, have a shot on target. Thankfully, it didn't come to nothing, and Fab was equal to the task today. But we're not looking cohesive enough going forward. We're looking very apprehensive defending. So, yep, if anyone wants to put a blinds up in here, join in. Feel free. I need a bit of DIY done.
Well, I'll leave all the current updates to you in that case, because I'm still in the 33rd minute, so it seems to be some way behind you. But I think I'm just about to see that shot. My streams have had a bit of a they've gone up the wall basically for the last 5 minutes. So I'm not going to see that chance because it's hung again. So Rio, it's over to you for any live updates that come through. Anyway, in terms of the Premier League table, it's still quite tight around the middle there, isn't it? We've got Bournemouth. If we win today, we'd go above Bournemouth and Wolves to climb to 13th. Where do you sort of see us finishing this season now? I mean, it's only 2.5 games left to go now.
Yeah, again, I think it really does depend on how far we progress in Europe. If we do get through Thursday night, I think we will take a little bit of the foot off the pedal. I know David Moyes has that mantra of, continuing momentum and match sharpness and match fitness. Yeah. But I think it'd be natural that we'd throw all our eggs in a basket in the European campaign if we do progress. So I can see us kind of tailing off. I mean, I think 15th is probably the most likely scenario for us, to be honest. But my hope was that catching Chelsea, but I can't see this result turn around today. I'm just watching the game play out now. We had a little bit more time on the ball the last few minutes, but a couple of minutes of nice little interplay, probing around the box, and it breaks to Brentford, and they look completely threatening at all times. We've just seen Ben Johnson make a bit of a howler defensively, and Brentford just forced another corner. But yeah, I just can't see us progressing that much further in the league.
Yeah, it's certainly not looking. I mean, we were hoping for a brief moment that we might be able to catch Chelsea, but I'm guessing like 6 points ahead of us now. That's looking pretty unlikely.
Yeah, no, that was my ultimate. That would have been icing on the cake for the season, getting past them. But I just can't see us maintaining any kind of real kind of league form and moving up the table with any kind of real purpose because of the European run.
Yeah. Is that the right thing to do, in your opinion?
Given the fact that we're safe virtually, and again, the length of time since we last won a major trophy, I think it's absolutely the right thing to do. No, as I said, that us fans have been crying out the silverware for so long. It's a natural thing to really want to aspire to, and I think the club are finally kind of from the upper echelons really grasping the fact that we've been starved of success for such a long time. When was the last time we come closest to it? 17 years ago yesterday. And that result still hurts every single West Ham fan I know. So to get over that mental kind of block of not winning something for a long time, it's imperative. It's what we're here for at the end of the day. We're here to win trophies. We're here to bring success. And this is our biggest opportunity for, 17 years.
I'm interested to... I'm just seeing a corner on my screen. I'm guessing you've already seen this and it's come to nothing, so I don't need to concentrate on it. But it's quite an interesting one. This whole David Moyes situation. Now, as anyone who's been watching the forum will probably be aware, you've been quite actively championing a change in recent weeks and months, where I've kind of been sort of quite happy to just let the status quo go and see how it plays out. Now, of course, there's never any right or wrongs in this. We're all entitled to our own opinion. But how does this affect your view of David Moyes' tenure and his future at the club, Rio? Or does it not? I mean, do you still maintain the same position if we were to win that trophy in Prague and sort of put silverware on the shelf for the first time, as you say, since 1980?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if we do manage to bring home the conference trophy, people have got to kind of review their outlook. Me, for one, especially. I'm still erring, despite the fact the last 2 years have been absolutely excellent in the league. We had that marvellous run in Europe last year. We're doing incredibly well in Europe this year. I'm still of the opinion that we do need a change at the top. But it's not that I would be averse to him staying, because obviously if he does pick up the silverware, his record speaks for himself. Our first potential major trophy in 43 years, 2 excellent finishes in the league and the last 2 seasons. It's pretty much unprecedented for West Ham United, for that level of success over such a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I'm erring still towards pulling the trigger is because it's the lack of innovation tactically. Every substitution we make, it's by the book, it's by the numbers. There's no kind of real proactiveness about it, and we're still relying on the same old guard. We're still relying on a big, powerful striker, Mikel Antonio, to kind of lead the charge in games where and we've never come close to actually replacing that. And that's what David Moyes wants. It's identikit players for identikit positions. And I still think we need a little bit of a shake-up tactically. If he can provide that, all well and good. I'll be happy for him to stay. And I'm not averse to him to stay if we do pick up the trophy. But I still think we need a change. I really do.
Okay, there you go. What are your thoughts, Rio?
Brentford are coming incredibly close. Corner come in. Massive goalmouth scramble. The ball's been pinging around. We've somehow managed to keep it out, but there's 3 or 4 chances. There's actually a long throw into the box, flicked on. Fabianski's punched acrobatically. There's been 2 or 3 kind of efforts on goal. One was an absolute brilliant save by Fabianski. One was a scuffed clearance off the line, and Brentford forced another corner. But very worrying times there for West Ham.
Certainly worrying times for Sean Dyche and Everton, because I was just about to tell you that Man City have scored the opener at Goodison Park. They've actually scored 2 goals in about 2 minutes, because no sooner has Ilkay Gundogan's opener gone in than who else? Erling Haaland made it 2-0 within a couple of minutes. So it's looking bleak for Everton there this afternoon. Won't affect their position in the Premier League table, of course. But I've just seen a rerun of the save. What a fantastic save that was from Fabianski. How did that not go in? Unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable. But yeah, it certainly won't do their goal difference any good. But yeah, I don't think that's going to be a consideration unless they're level on points with Leicester. But yeah, Man City lead 2-0. It's Brentford 1, West Ham United 0. And as you just heard from Rio, then it really should be 2-0 because Lucas Fabianski's made possibly even 2 fantastic scrambling saves there to keep the bees at bay. But as it is 40 minutes in, it's still Brentford 1, West Ham United 0. I'm trying to think of a decent effort we've had, Rio, so far. And Emerson had a shot on about 28 minutes, but that was about it, I think.
Yeah, it's been very few and far between in an attacking sense, and that's the worry, isn't it? I mean, we've got three or four players out there who you would have thought would be chomping at the bit to make an impression, particularly with like the semi-final coming up.
Yeah.
Again, get a little bit of match sharpness under a belt and make the manager think about things. But we've offered nothing going forward today. Absolutely nothing.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm just seeing Brentford have a corner. I presume this is going to come to nothing, Rio, because you're ahead and you would have seen it before. But we're just closing in on the half time, 3 or 4 minutes of normal time to go. Don't suppose there'll be too much added on time because we don't seem to have had too many stoppages, apart from our streams, of course, which have been up and down like the proverbial. Can't say that. We're on a family. It's a family show. But anyway, yeah, we've had a little bit of difficulty. It's fair to say with the streams this afternoon. Hopefully not on Thursday. Rio, we're going to be watching the game from on Thursday night.
It very much depends on how we intend to cover the game. I know. Is it right that you're venturing abroad?
I'll be there, yeah. But we can certainly run the stream if you and no maybe wants to join in. We can certainly get it up and going. Of course, I can pitch in from time to time from abroad. So, yeah.
Otherwise, I'll be in the Eastbrook, Dagdon, watching the game and panicking over a couple of points of bricks and IPA with my friends. Brentford just made it 2-0.
Talk us through it.
Very soft goal. Let's put it that way. I'm trying to see who's scored there. You just bear with me a minute, people. Looked like a long throw in. Very soft header at the far post, directed in. I still can't see who's actually scored it. Apologies for lack of professionalism again, good people. Very sorry indeed. Oh, it's Visser. Okay. Number 11. Yeah. Long throw in. We felt a deal with it. Just a flick on. And Visser's got in front of, I think that's Aguerd again. A little bit of slack marking. And he just glances it into the far corner. Soft goal. And it's another bit of poor defending there by Naif Aguerd, who has, he's for me our classiest defender in terms of his ability on the deck.
Yeah.
But he's made a few mistakes over the last couple of months, which is a little bit worrying. If we're relying on the elderly Angelo Bonner to provide a little bit of backbone, a little bit of steel, Aguerd is we almost pulled one back straight away there. Yeah, the reliance on Angelo Bonner is a little bit of a worry because the old bones are creaking and he's not able to rescue us time and time again defensively. Danny Ings just had a chance there. The ball went straight forward. Ings on the turn, forced a good save out of rail, pushed the ball wide. We have a corner, which Pablo Fornal was about to take. There's 30 seconds to go before half time.
Well, let's stick with that corner then, Rio, for just a minute.
I wouldn't bother. It's probably the worst corner I've seen in my life. I'll wax lyrical about Pablo. I love the fella to death, but oh dear. It's just gone basically straight out of play. He kind of bounced around the 16-yard box and bent out before anyone, even the keeper was nowhere near it. Just bloke in row A was a bit worried that he was going to take his eye out. But
not been at his best, has he recently? Poor old Pablo.
This 4 minutes of added time for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Why our streams are jumping around? We must have had a very serious injury.
Yes. Well, we did see there was a few minutes, wasn't there? One of the Brentford players was down, but didn't think it was for that long. But obviously it was. I've just seen the Ings shot, which was tipped wide. Interestingly, the goal, the two West Ham players involved who failed to make the necessary challenges. The first one was Thomas Souček, and as Rio's pointed out, the second one is Naif Aguerd. And they're the only two players that really what you consider regular first teamers, the only two that were sort of left in the team from Thursday. So Souček, you certainly wouldn't expect to get beaten at the near post by a header, and Gerd, well, it just didn't seem to get there at all, did he? So yeah, so you can't really even blame the replacements for that one. It was just poor work, marking, whatever from West Ham United. We're deep into added on time anyway. Brentford leading 2-0. Rio, take us through to the half-time whistle, if you will.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, about 2 minutes to go left in this opening period. I'd like to point out, if the Premier League are going to take issue with the change we made, as Gray rightly said, the two incumbents from our regular starting lineup have been the two worst players today. So we've got a case to make. We should have changed all 11. Okay, so like Brentford, just stroking the ball around the back. We're putting a little bit of pressure on there, but it seems to be too little too late. Dan Ings running himself into the ground a little bit. At his age, he should know better, because it's a wasted bit of effort. So we've not really pressed high enough and not pressed hard enough, forcing Brentford into errors. Now, they've had it very comfortable today. So they're just knocking the ball around very, very gently around the back. Ball go back to Raya, who is afforded a pass back out to defence across his face of goal, no pressure. And Brentford punting the ball forward. Charlotte gets pulled up for a free kick, thankfully. Now, he's been a bit lively today, Charlotte. I think he's a German under-21 international striker. But because of the way we've performed, I can't even come out with a raft of Sade jokes, because that's the nearest thing I've got. And the camera pans around to the West Ham bench. Aaron Creswell is looking... Well, I think he's looking for a point more than anything. He's certainly not looking to go onto the pitch, because I don't think everyone wants to get involved today, to be honest.
I've just seen a
goes
message
up for a
Rio
challenge
come up
and
on.
misses completely.
Sorry, mate. I was just going to say, I've just seen, going back to your comment about the Pablo Fornals corner, I've just seen a message on Twitter from someone I follow, and it says simply this: Pablo Fornals has just taken the worst corner I've ever seen. There you
go. I can't even disagree with it. It was a shocker. Yeah, we know what he can do. We know how good he can be. He's just completely lost the plot there. I think he's one of these players that does need a run in the side to kind of get him back up to speed. But there's no excuse for a professional footballer earning X amount of pounds a week not be able to actually get the ball into play from a corner, let alone on target or in a dangerous area. That's an absolute shocking piece of play from Pablo. Indefensible, and that's from probably his biggest fan in the world at the moment. Brentford is about 5 or 10 seconds left to go. Just ping the ball across from one flank to the other. They're happy to see this out. There's no kind of real intent, just knocking the ball around, and that's it. The referee's blown up for the end of the first period, and what can I say? 2-0 down. We've offered absolutely nothing in an attacking sense, apart from probably that danging shot late on. Even that wasn't the greatest. We look defensively all at sea. We do look like a team that has had 9 fresh faces thrown in, but instead of fresh faces, we've been playing with each other in the training ground for the last year or so. Looks like fresh faces. We're just dragging off the street. There's no cohesion defensively. There's no cohesion attacking wise. And midfield has been completely absent. And from an attacking point of view, you would have thought Maxwell Cornet would have been trying busting the gut to make an impression. He's been anonymous. Lanzini's been pretty much anonymous. There's nothing really positive to deliver, unfortunately. How's them blinds going?
Yes, APD. Could you give us a blinds update, please? How are you getting on? Are you hanging, or are you hanging, as it were? It's been a pretty disappointing first half for the Hammers. Only a couple of real half opportunities. The Emerson shot from the edge of the box, which just rolled straight through to Raya. And then, as Rio mentioned there, the Danny Ings effort on the stroke of 45 minutes that was it required a save, to be fair. It was on target. Raya had to dive low to his right-hand side to tip it round the post. I mean, it wasn't particularly potent, but the closest West Ham have come anyway to scoring so far. On the other hand, Brentford have scored 2 and probably really, they could have had 4 or 5 in that first half. I mean, there was the 7 minutes gone when Damsgaard headed wide when he should have hit the target. Cross coming from the left, he beat Downs to the ball and nodded across goal. Fabianski was well beaten, but he didn't find the net. Mbuema did find the net after 20 minutes. It was I think it was Nifagerd who gave the ball away initially. Oh, it was a poor pass to Flynn Downs, who was tackled. As I said, it was a bit like a rugby union move where the ball was passed from left to right to the player overlapping who applied the finishing touch. This time, passing the ball to the right low under Lucas Fabianski. Probably could have done a little bit better, we felt, but maybe you disagree. Let us know. Do you think Fabianski should have saved that first effort, or are we being a bit harsh? Second goal came 2 minutes before the end of regulation time. Visa from a long throw, which was flicked on at the near post to Thomas Souček beaten to where Visa came in behind Nifagerd and beat him to the ball with Lucas Fabianski, basically a passenger static, just watching the ball fly into the back of his net. Brentford also probably should have scored around that point when there's a bit of a goalmouth scramble when Fabianski produced a rather better effort to make 1 or 2 very, very decent saves in the space of a couple of seconds with a goalmouth scramble in the West Ham 6-yard box. Fortunately, it went wide in the end. I think it might have been me who had the final touch. But as it is, Brentford comfortable at half-time, leading by 2 goals to 0, 2 goals to the good against the Hammers, who certainly have it all to do. And I've seen that described there. Another post from someone I follow on Twitter says this is one of those let's skip to Thursday and forget this ever happened type of performances. Kind of sums it up perfectly for me, Rio, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got hope in a way that, this game looks done, doesn't it? This game looks like beyond us already. You've got to hope that David Moyes doesn't, revert to type, throw in these regular go-to choices and actually gives them the 90-minute break. Doesn't try and chase the game by bringing on the likes of Creswell, the likes of Rice, the likes of Paqueta. We started with a weakened starting 11 for a reason, and that is to give players a rest for Thursday night, which at the moment, where this club is imperative. It's the most important thing we have.
Yeah.
Don't go chasing this game. Let's just see it out. Let's just try and limit the damage that we endure today. Our Premiership status isn't at risk. What's at risk is throwing players on today and trying to win this game and risking injuries. We just don't need to. We really don't, Everyone wants to see us win a trophy. That is the be-all and end-all for this club at the moment. So, Dave, do not throw players who you don't need to win in this game. The players that you selected in the starting 11 should be busting the gut to make an impression. Yeah. The fact they haven't is saying something about the kind of either the mentality of those particular incumbents or, the lack of desire around them wanting to make an impression and force their way into the starting lineup on Thursday, because no one out there has done anything to make an impression and force their way into the manager's thinking. Yeah,
I was actually going to come to something very similar. I'm just having a flick through the posts on the KUMB.com forum Brentford match thread since the halftime whistle blew, and there's a post from Turns to Stone, who says something pretty much identical. Just says it looks like none of these lads fancy a game on Thursday night, which kind of backs up what you were saying there, Rhea. It certainly does. I mean, it is strange, isn't it? You'd expect. I mean, someone like Max Cornet, for example, who's struggled to get in the team. Obviously unfit for most of the season, but has come back and he's really found it difficult to get match minutes. But here he's offered an opportunity. He hasn't really taken it, has he? We've not seen anything of him, and 3 or 4 other players who you might think, well, this is an opportunity for them to show Moyes and the fans what they can do with those big games coming up. But nothing. There's very little of it so far.
No, it's been an incredible disappointing performance, and those on the fringes of the first team lineup of they're not covering themselves in glory, and it's a bit of a shocking thing to come to see, because, like I say, the likes of Cornet, as you rightly say, he was signed as a bit of a bright spark for us. He's versatile, can play anywhere down that left-hand side. He can play left back, left wing, play up front. He's an ideal player we need for this kind of European competition, particularly Thursday night. And he's done absolutely nothing to kind of force his way into the manager's plans.
Yeah.
Manuel Lanzini, who, we know how good he is on the ball. European competition is ideal for him, but he's done nothing to kind of force his way into the plans either.
No.
And I know his future at the club's in doubt, but you would have thought, I want to make a lasting impression here. I want to go out on a big end note. And he's just going out a bit of a damp squib today. But as you rightly say, there's 5 or 6 players there who should be busting the gut. And all they're doing is like busting the wallet because they're not doing anything to justify their wages at the moment.
Danny Smith on the live chat remarks, all that money spent, and this is the depth of our squad, no game plan, crab passing, Moyes has to go. Brentford are much more organised. Not sure this is particularly the game to determine David Moyes' future in Danny, given what's ahead. But interesting point Danny makes nonetheless there, Rio, about the squad depth. Is this score an indication of just how poor these players are, or is it really kind of? I mean, I get the feeling this is the whole squad feeding the European campaign. And while it's easy to say, yeah, we haven't got the first team out there, these players are still going to be involved as well. You know, even if they're not going to be playing, they're going to be travelling with the rest of the squad. And what do you make of Danny's point there? Do you think that, you know, this is kind of a damning edict on the depth of the squad, or do you think, as I said, this might be more of the fact that everyone's sort of kind of attuned to Thursday night rather than just the 11 players that might be starting?
No, I think he's got a valid point in some respects, because it kind of backs up what we were saying a moment ago. The players out there at the moment really should be doing everything they can to make the manager go, I might pick him on Thursday.
Yeah.
If I don't pick him to start on Thursday, I know I can utilise him off the bench because he made such a lasting impression the other day.
Mm-hmm.
No one's showing that. But we have seen it on a number of occasions that, when the team is bad, it's awful. When it fires, we look like a joy to watch at times, and we play in a very similar. Excuse me. We play in a very similar manner all the time. We soak up the pressure, hit on the break. That's the Moyes way. But without a focal point in Mikel Antonio that provide a bit of muscle up front, it's hard to bring players into play. And I think that's what we're suffering with today. Conway's not getting the opportunity because he's got no one to feed off of.
Yeah,
we're not feeding the ball out wide to him via our passing game. I think Danny's right in some respects. Saying this is just indicative, don't think the squad depth. I just think of as you rightly say, there's a lot of tightness around the team. We've had 14 games, 15 games in Europe this year, maybe 13. Sorry. There's a lot of mileage because most of these players have been doing it week in, week out, as well as travelling with the first team squad. It's a culmination of a lot of things. I think the way that David Moyes can approach games sometimes doesn't fill with confidence. And again, I would like to a little bit of a different setup today.
Yeah.
But I would have liked a lot more effort and a lot more willingness and showing from the players themselves. I think everyone's got a bit of a valid point now. It's a little bit of a damning indictment on David Moyes and the squad depth that these players aren't performing to the best of their ability. But I also think there's a lot of tiredness, and as a club, we're focused on this game Thursday night so much that I think everyone's taken the foot off the pedal in the Premier League.
I think it's a really good point, actually, and well made. Let us know, Danny. Let us know what you think of Rio's thoughts on that. Certainly not playing to their best this afternoon. Craven says another Fabianski howler for the first goal. Imagine my surprise. Bloody easy save. Another Fabianski howler for you, Rio?
Again, bear with me. I need a bit of a drink to kind of wet the whistle because you know what I'm like when I struggle with talking.
No worries. We'll bring you back on that in just a second. But APD also mentioned that where it makes the squad look shallow, this performance, suggesting that we should be giving Brentford a game. Fabianski, Rio.
Yeah, I don't think it was a soft goal all round, but it's very, very, very similar to some of the goals we conceded over the last couple of months, isn't it? Playing ourselves into trouble in the middle, really poor passing. And what worries me, it's very similar to one of the goals we conceded against Palace, where Aguerd played Souček into trouble on that occasion. Today he's done it with Flynn Downs. And again, one of our defensive line is AWOL. I didn't even see Emerson in the actual picture, I think, when the ball broke again.
No.
But yeah, it's the pattern of the goals we're conceding, which is the worry. Slack passing from the back, selling the player short in the middle, and players not holding their shape and their line, which is something that you can't normally point a finger at David Moyes for, because he normally has such a rigid defensive setup that those players shouldn't be out of the picture, let alone completely out of the game.
Yeah. Not been great, has it? Not been great so far. City Solar says lazy, can't be bothered attitude once again. What do you make of that thought? Think West Ham are just being lazy today?
More than valid, It's just reiterating what we've said, isn't it? The players out there really should be chomping at the bit to force their way into the wrecking. We know that David Moyes has got his favourite starting 11, but it's a squad game nowadays. They might not start, but they've got to kind of bust the guts and make an impression and say, when you need to make changes, which we do need to make changes on Thursday, because it's going to be a very, very tough battle against a young, fit, physical side. We need people to come off the bench and augment the squad and support and come in and fulfil really key roles. And no one out there is doing it. No one at all. And it is a bit of a lazy attitude for me at the moment. Maybe it is because we've all focused so much on Thursday that as a club, no one wants to get injured. No one wants to force themselves out of the picture physically rather than mentally. But you would have just hoped for a little bit more kind of urgency and a bit more displaying your actual talents rather than looking one eye elsewhere, only one eye in the game today.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? But I mean, I'm not looking to make excuses for poor performances, but the buzz, you go on the KUMB.com forum in the last few days since Thursday, and the buzz there's incredible. Everyone's talking about next Thursday night and talking about Prague and the potential getting to the final. I think the Brentford match thread didn't even start until Friday morning, late Friday morning. Normally it's there immediately after the last game. Now, I think it's probably the case. I mean, this is us just as fans. Imagine if you're a player preparing to play in that. Someone like, these players, Tommy Souček, players like that, Jared Bowen even, some of our players, Aaron Cresswell, have enjoyed really good careers, but never really won any silverware. Imagine what a huge game this must be for them, So I think it's difficult. Yes, we are talking about professional athletes who are paid handsomely to do the best for the club that they represent, but and we're also talking about human beings here. And I think you're absolutely right, Ria, when you mention the fact of players maybe, even in this game, if you're 1% short of effort and desired determination, it's going to show. It's going to affect the entire team. And I think we've seen that today. I think you've got a lot of players out there who are kind of a little bit sort of laissez-faire in some of the tackles, that are just making it a little bit easier for the opposition than perhaps we might do on a normal day. So I think it's really difficult to look at a match like this and offer a verdict, a genuine verdict on the performance as a whole, because I think it is just so affected by Thursday night and whether it's conscious or subconscious from the players. I think they're all really looking forward to what's ahead. And at the end of the day, no one's going to remember this, are they? If we win the trophy or even get to the final, no one's going to look back and say, that's all well and good, but it's a shame we produced such a bad performance at Brentford. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I mean, going back to before the game, when the lineups were announced, I had a bit of a tour around our forum, a lot of the West Ham socials, and I didn't see one dissenting person regarding our starting lineup. Every single person was more than delighted we'd actually racked the changes up. It was one of the most positive things David Moyes has done in a long while. But it's not panned out. But let's not beat ourselves up over it, As we keep saying, Thursday is all that matters at the moment. And I think that's transformed itself onto the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. The game's just started, by the way. The second half has just kicked off. Well, it has on my screen. Rio, you're a little bit ahead, so you'll have seen a bit more, if anything, of course. Does happen. Of note, just jump in. But I want to talk about Nigel Gerd, because I'm a huge fan of his. I think he's a great player, but he does have a ricket in him. And he seems to be having more and more rickets as time goes on, whereas you kind of think it would be the other way round, wouldn't you? Kind of coming from Liga and coming to the Premier League, where everything's a little bit faster and more robust, and the challenges are a little bit stronger, and that kind of thing. He's made a lot of mistakes lately. You mentioned one. You mentioned the one in the Palace game where he put Tommy Souček in trouble. There's been quite a few like that. One of the things that stands out for Aged is that ability to come in from the wrong side and make a tackle. But I've kind of always looked at that. I mean, it's the one he got injured against Rangers and also in the World Cup for. But I've always kind of looked at that and thought a really top quality defender doesn't need to do that because you're the right side of your man. But what are your thoughts on it? I just saw someone on Twitter describe him as one good game followed by 5 bad ones, which I thought was a little bit harsh. But what's your verdict on pretty much a whole season of the Moroccan?
Yeah, I think that actually statement. Oh, we just had a chance, by the way. Maxwell Connor gets the ball in from the left. Thomas Souček diving in with a header, but it turns out to be offside anyway. But didn't really threaten the goal, but it's a chance, West Ham. Yeah, Knife good. As you rightly say, I think he's an actual wonderful footballer. I think what he's suffering with a little bit now, he's back into the side and starting. His defensive partner seems to be changing every week. He's not had a really settled partnership. I think when he plays alongside Kurt Zouma, he looks really assured. He also plays on his natural side, which is the left, where Kurt Zouma occupies the right-hand thing. When Angelo comes in, he has to kind of revert to the left-hand side because Angelo, obviously the senior defender, again, a natural left-sided centre-half. Yeah, I think you're right, though. It's from a footballing point of view, he's absolutely exemplary. He can play the line passing passes from the back, which we've been crying out for years. Yeah, and he does that with an absolute plum. It's just I think he's lacking from a little bit of stability in terms of his defensive partner, and also, I mean, to acclimatise yourself back to the pace of the Premiership after a bit of a dodgy layoff, which was it 3 months he was out?
At least, yeah.
Then disappearing to the World Cup in Morocco, so he's not really had a chance to cement himself there. When he does come back in, he's playing alongside a different person every week. Yeah, he does rely on his pace to get him out of trouble at times, but it's a nice little utility to have to you, isn't it? That ability to kind of rescue yourself. I just think he needs more kind of a proper pre-season and a proper central defensive partner to kind of acclimatise himself to and get used to. I just think it hasn't really helped with him being shifted from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, and also where we've chopped and changed. I mean, it's been a long old season, isn't it? Now I know he's been out a lot of it, but since he's come back in, the players around him have suffered with fatigue. Those in front of him, until the last 5 or 6 weeks when we've been a little bit more on the up, it's been chopping and changing. It's not been an easy atmosphere to play in either. No, it hasn't.
But I mean, is he the sort of defender that you would build a defence around, or do you think he needs someone a little bit more experienced alongside him? We forget he's still relatively young and inexperienced himself. At was he 25, 26 now?
Yeah. No, I think he's certainly the kind of player we should be building around.
Okay.
And I think if we can get Kurt Zouma fit and on the pitch for a more regular basis, as a partnership, they will absolutely flourish. As I said, Zouma naturally right-footed, Aged naturally left-footed. You've got that little bit of steel there, but, Kurt does look a little bit fragile at times, physically. And then Noyev has to drop to the right-hand side, which doesn't suit him particularly well. But, yeah, in terms of ability, he is the player that we should be really building around the back from.
Okay. I'm just seeing Brentford having a corner on my screen. I'm guessing, again, this comes to nothing, Rio, because I haven't seen you fall to the floor with your head in your hands or throwing things at the cat or anything. So we'll assume this comes to nothing. But West Ham with the only chance of the second half so far. The Souček header came from a really clever delivery from Lanzini, actually nodded it just wide, but as Rio pointed out, was offside anyway. So it wouldn't have counted. West Ham trailing by those 2 goals to 0 so far. In terms of...
Sorry, we just had another really shocking Thomas Souček pass. He's played Brentford in... Oh, dear, Tom. The ball's gone wide eventually, but it was a really shocking pass in a very dangerous area.
Yeah.
And I think it was Visser, puts the ball wide, but he really should have done better. And I'm actually surprised at the midfield that we actually didn't change Thomas Suchek at half time. He's one of the players who, I know he's come into form a bit more in the last few weeks, but he's the one who's been suffering the most in terms of the sheer weight of football being played.
Yeah.
And also, again, being shuffled around in different roles which don't really suit him. But he's made 2 or 3 very slack passes today, which have played us into trouble. So we got away with that one now.
I've just seen it. I've just seen it come through on my screen, and yeah, it was a suicidal ball, wasn't it? But fortunately, it was poked wide in the end. West Ham remain 2 goals adrift here at the Brentford Community Stadium. There's been another goal at Goodison Park, and it's not gone to the home side. Ilkay Gundogan has scored a second goal for the visitors, who now lead by 3-0 at Goodison Park. Looks like that one's done and dusted. Gundogan with 2, Erling Haaland with the third, just 2 minutes in between the first 2 goals. And Man City, that will put them 4 points clear at the top of the Premier League. More importantly, as far as we're concerned, it keeps Everton on 32 points. And good for West Ham, but keeps them right in the mire, Everton. Just 1 point above the relegation zone at the moment. And that's how they're going to be after this game, because they're certainly not going to get anything out of this one. 52 minutes gone, Rio. We do have a number of players on the bench. Interestingly, well, obviously, because we've got a bench. One of the players on the bench who I've seen a couple of calls for across various sites and the KUMB.com forum to come on in the second half. He's young Divine Mubama. It's the sort of game we could perhaps give him 15, 20 in and not be too concerned about.
I think you sample opportunity for him, really. Physically, he's a lot more Mikel Antonio-esque than Dan Ings will ever be. So in that respect, he will fit the way that we normally play a lot better.
Yeah.
I still think his touch is... I hate to be kind of negative about youngsters, but I think his touch is still a little bit raw, and that's something that we really need to work on in the future. But why not give him a chance? You don't want to risk any kind of injuries to the senior players. Well, we're just on the attack here. Again, petered out. Cornet, left-hand side. Feels it back. Yeah, that kind of petered out. It was a very threatening position, and we've kind of lost the plot there. Yeah, but I think Divan and Boomer, physically, he's got all the attributes, and he doesn't. When I've seen him play for the youth team, his goals are never always cleanly struck, but he's always in the right place at the right time, and somehow managed to get him over the line, which is a really great knack for a striker. Mm-hmm. So I think he's got the physical attributes. As I said, he's got that little knack, and I'd like to see him get an opportunity because why would you risk your senior players, particularly going as we keep going on about? Bank going on into Thursday night, it's a chance for a young lad to get 30 minutes of a Premier League football under his belt, make an impression. It'll boost his confidence and all. I just think it makes complete sense for him to get a bit of a run out here.
Yeah, Divine, of course, is the only youth team player on the bench, which is littered with first team players who were rested for this particular game. So I'm guessing we won't see too many changes from David Moyes because I don't think he's going to want to potentially risk any of those first team players with that huge game against Alkmaar coming up on Thursday night. Just very quickly, it doesn't affect West Ham, Rio, but the title, foregone conclusion that Man City are going to take that now.
Do I have to say this because my thoughts on the club who they're competing against for the title race are publicly well known, and I bumped into a couple of people on Thursday night, and I know them pretty well, but we was discussing the whole potential thing around Declan Rice, and because allegedly Arsenal were in pole position to get him, Colin turned around to me and went, "You'd disown him. You'd actually wipe his existence off the face of the planet if you joined him, wouldn't you?" And I went, "Yeah, rightly so." Yeah, I think it's a foregone conclusion. I'm delighted to see that City have, they do it every single year.
Yep.
They might start a little bit slowly, but by the time they get to April, and I think the stat come up the other week that the last 3 or 4 years, when it comes to April, they very rarely lose a game in the league. They just exert their pressure. The class shows. And I watched the game on Tuesday night against Real Madrid, and a fantastic game of football. But I thought City was still a class above. And, you know, I think they are the best club in world football at the moment. And should they finish second to Arsenal, it would be an absolute travesty in more ways than one.
Yes. I mean, you look at the form guide at the moment, it's all in Man City's favour. They won the last 5, going to be 6 in a row now. Arsenal only 2 wins in the last 5. Should say Declan Rice is stripping off, interestingly, and Said Benrahma. So it looks like there I was a few moments ago suggesting that there will be no changes, and any coming will be in the final few minutes, as is Moyes' way. And here we are after 56 minutes, and it looks like we're about to make a couple of changes before the hour mark. So there you go. What do you make of that, Rio? Rice coming on? Is that a bit of a strange risk for Moyes, especially with the game apparently, you know, gone at 2-0 or all but gone?
It's a huge risk, isn't it?
It's a bit.
But it's David Moyes reverting to David Moyes type, isn't it? You know, he relies on his kind of tried and trusted to get us through. And despite the fact we really don't want to use these people, they're being forced on. Just looking, there's 3 changes being made. Cornet, Souček and Fornals have departed. Obviously, Rice is on, Benrahma and Mbama. So, yeah, we've actually got Divan on the bench, off the bench, sorry. And, you know, the 3 people who left the pitch, you know, you would have thought 2 of them would have been busting the gut, as we keep saying, to make an impression. It's just not happened. But coming on now, a young striker who can make a name for himself, get some valuable game time under his belt, and make things a little bit interesting today.
Yeah, I'm pleased to see that. Actually, I've got to say I'm pleased and surprised. A, to see Moyes making changes before the hour mark, but B, to see Mbama coming on. But really good opportunity. What I did find slightly saddened by with those substitutions, Pablo Fornals couldn't get off that pitch quick enough. Just something not quite right with Pablo this season. You know, we're presuming it's personal rather than an issue with the rest of the team. But yeah, it's you know, what's happened to the Pablo that used to sing West Ham are massive, Rio? It's all gone wrong, isn't it, from this season?
Yeah, he's someone who on and off the pitch was exuberant, full of passion, full of life. He just doesn't look like he's enjoying things anymore. And
No.
It's a real worry, because, you know, there's a player there full of ability, someone who can spur the West Ham fans on and give everyone a smile. He's such a character that everyone that I know who's been in and around the training ground in the past, has always commented on, like, he's such a key player for this squad. But as you rightly say, something clearly isn't right. And it's a real worry, not just from a footballing point of view, but from a personal point of view, that if he is suffering, no, you don't want to wish it on anybody, but particularly someone with like kind of Pablo's kind of bubbly nature and who clearly loves the club.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. Let's hope whatever it is sorts itself out soon. So yeah, West Ham with the very almost unique this season position of having 2 main goal scorers on the pitch in Danny Ings and Divine Mbama. We'll see if it has any effect on the game. At the moment, it's Brentford even, who are bombing forward and looking for a third. Interestingly, talking about Brighton, which is where I was going to go next, West Ham's combined record against Brighton and Brentford since both were promoted back to the Premier League. Do you want to have a guess, Rio, what it is? I'll put you out your misery. 16 games played. West Ham 1-0 out of 16. Not great, is it? It's the Bees. We used to be good with the Bees in the 60s. Our entire winning team began of, I think we had 7 players whose name began with B, but it's obviously our bogey B, the bogey letter for us at the moment.
Who would have thought, like, a club like West Ham United, you know, with a virile, passionate support, would be rubbish with the birds and the bees. And we are shockingly abysmal. Yes,
we have been. What a record that is. 2 promoted teams. No. The last one against Brighton, of course, coming in 2011.
Yep,
6-0, wasn't it? That was last.
I'm still claiming it's 5. I was having this chat the other night and all.
Go on.
because when Versailles scored that overhead kick, someone got fouled in the build-up. So instead of actually watching the goal go in, I was screaming at the ref, "Why haven't you given the penalty?" So I missed probably one of the most spectacular goals in front of my eyes. So I'm still claiming that's 5. Our record against Brentford and Brighton is just... But again, it's against a side that, both sides, that we really should be exerting our pressure and our class on.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we've got this mental block against it. And, it's indicatively West Ham, isn't it? That we can beat the likes of Man United, and we do so comfortably at times. We give games to every major team there is. Yet two Bob clubs like that, we can strive to lose on a regular basis and in embarrassing manners.
Yes, we certainly do. And where are you on your time, Rio? What have you got on the clock?
It's 62 minutes gone.
Okay, so I think I'm about 30 seconds behind. I'm just seeing Brentford line up a corner. I wasn't sure. Oh, that should have been a goal.
Yeah, but while we've been chatting about other stuff, Brentford have had 3 or 4 chances, which
Yes.
I've been trying to woefully ignore because, as we've just been going over, our record against them is so bad. It's just a matter of time. But, it's one of them days, isn't it, against one of them teams.
Oh, I mean, I can't quite believe it. It's Damsgaard again, who's had an absolute nightmare in front of goal. It's a corner come across from West Ham's or from Brentford's left, nodded on at the near post. Is once again West Ham beaten to that. Damsgaard's like 4 or 5 yards from goal, completely unmarked, and he's put the ball over the bar. Considerably worse than what Said Benrahma produced the other night in the final few moments against Alkmaar, when he should have put the ball in the back of the, or at least hit the target. I mean, Damsgaard's having one today, isn't he? Fortunately for West Ham, Rio.
Yeah, very much so. And it's much to his credit, really, that he's actually kept us in what little we have been in the game. But we've still got a glimmer of hope because he's been so wasteful. Just want to, while we're mentioning Said Benrahma, I'd just like to point out, I mean, I have been one of his biggest critics, even this year when he's been kind of forced his way into David Moyes' starting line-up and been one of his main players. I still think he lacks the consistency and the intelligence we need at times. But I thought Thursday night he was probably his best game in the West Ham shirt for me, and I thought he did incredibly well. He was a constant threat all night.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought he was brilliant, absolutely fantastic. We had 3 or 4 players out there who did really, really well. But Benrahma agreed. I thought he was great against Man United as well. Actually, I thought he had again one of his best performances. So he seems to have kind of got over that thing, doesn't he, with Moyes, where there was a little bit of distrust. Moyes used to, some people say he used to pick on him during his press conferences, but there was quite a lot of negative comments about Said. But once again, it looks like he's turned it round, and Benrahma pretty much at the moment one of the first names on the team sheet, Rio.
Sorry, no, we're just been on the attack. We're actually pressing really high now and really hard.
Yeah.
Rice forced an error in the Brentford back line. The ball came out again. Benrahma involved, fed it out wide to Mbama, and then out wide to Johnson. Johnson plays the ball across the face of the Brentford goal. Raya gets a hand of it, pushes it back into a dangerous position, but we just can't capitalise. But the last couple of minutes, we've been a much more promising side. Benrahma and Rice coming on. They're both in the form of their life at the moment, and they're both making an impact already. So maybe this isn't over yet.
No, still plenty of time to go. Just over 25 minutes left in this one. West Ham trailing by those 2 first-half goals. 2-0 down to Brentford, who, as I said a few minutes ago, probably could have had 5 or 6 this afternoon had they not been so wasteful in front of goal. But fortunately, that profligacy seems to have helped West Ham out a little bit. I'm just seeing the Ben Johnson effort coming in. That's a good save by Raya there. But West Ham definitely, as Rio says, defending a bit higher. The two strikers on the pitch, of course, will give you the opportunity to do that, cover a little bit more area. But it looks like we might have actually got Brighton on the back foot for the first time in this game, Rio.
Yeah, actually, the brightest point for that for me was the link-up play with Mbama, who, as I said, normally his touch is a little bit raw, but he fed Ben Johnson really well after a bit of muscle and a bit of endurance. And we've got one back. West Ham scored. Dan Ings. Cross comes into the far post. Ball gets put back in the middle. A little bit of a defensive frailty shown, and Dan Ings does what Dan Ings has done for every other club bar us until now, and actually falls it in from a couple of yards out. But yes, just seeing the replay, this swinging up the back into the left-hand side. Ball comes back across. I'm sure that's Mbama, who kind of forces it back. Makes life difficult for the Brentford defence. He actually doesn't. He misses the ball, goes in, which draws the defender away. Ball comes off the post, comes back, and Dan Ings is there to fire home after being fed back by Lanzini. But yeah, Mbama went in, drew a man out. Ball hits the post, goes to Lanzini. We put it back. Ings forces it home. 2-1. It's going to VAR.
Did it go out of play? Maybe I'm just watching the goal happen now. Is there a suggestion maybe that it went out or an offside at the far post?
I think he's looking for offside or handball, possibly. Possible handball by Mbama. I don't think it'd be incredibly harsh if it does, because the ball comes on the post, but I don't know what he's supposed to do. The ball hits the post, comes back to him.
Yeah.
If it gets ruled out, it's incredibly harsh.
Right, I'm just having a look to see. Right, there's no offside.
Mike Oliver's going over to look at this now.
Now, did it hit him on the hand? Does it come back? Is that what they're suggesting?
That's what they're suggesting. Again, I think
surely
it's probably the harshest decision if this gets overturned I've ever seen.
Well, look, do you know what? I tell you what, we've seen West Ham denied penalties in the last 2 weeks against Liverpool and Manchester United for exactly the same thing. The players let the ball inadvertently hit their hand, not got any, you can't say there's any great, it's not positionally affecting the ball or anything.
Been ruled out.
Well, I find that absolutely stunning, given what happened against Liverpool and Manchester United. That's absolutely bloody ridiculous. I'm stunned. I'm stunned. But there you go.
That is absolutely shocking.
I don't know what the handball rule is. I openly and honestly admit I have no idea what the handball is these days. If that's handball and the Liverpool and Man United ones aren't handballs, someone explain that to me. Any ideas, Rio? Any ideas whatsoever?
No idea. I mean, it's an attacking player. It goes in to try and head the ball, misses. The ball hits the post, bounces away. What's he supposed to do in a split second? Put his hands down by the side of him. And as you rightly say, given what happened against Manchester United, where there's a deliberate ball-to-hand movement, and it doesn't get given, for this to get given and ruled out is... No, it's football's broken. I
can only assume that what they've seen there is as the ball's come back off the post, it's hit Mbama's hand and it's dropped. I'm guessing what they're looking at is the velocity that the ball's coming off the post at, that if it hadn't hit Mbama's hand, it probably would have gone back to one of the defenders who probably would have cleared it.
Yeah, that's...
Instead, it's dropped. It's dropped at the touch has meant it's dropped at Lanzini's feet. So West Ham, you could argue, have gained an advantage from that. But again, you look at the other teams, exactly the same as the Liverpool and Manchester United handballs. Both gained an advantage from that. The Liverpool one, Thiago cleared the ball immediately afterwards. Same with the Man United one. So how is there any difference? If anyone watching on the stream can explain to me how the handball rule or law works right now, please do, because I am absolutely befuddled by that. I understand why they've not given it, but you can't not give that and not give the Liverpool and Man U ones. There's absolutely no consistency there. So anyway, it stays 2-0. Danny Ings denied the opportunity to grab his third goal in West Ham colours. For a rather bizarre one, but there you go. Absolute disgrace, says Alfs. No effing idea, says Tony Mitchell. Craven says they won't even give us a goal when we're 2-0 down. What's the point? And Hobo adds, disgraceful decision yet again. Looks like we're in good company, Rio.
Yeah, I think what we're going to go back to again, VAR is there for clear and obvious errors. Now, if that was a clear and obvious kind of deliberate passage of play to deflect the ball into our possession, make the chance, I'm flabbergasted. Compared to what we've had to endure over the last few weeks, as you rightly say, that's probably the worst decision out of a lot for me.
Yeah, I mean it's a common theme. Just looking at the KUMB.com forum, Brentford match thread and just seeing what people are saying. Merv suggesting that after the 2 handballs, we've been denied by VAR recently. That decision is absolutely scandalous. And Denzi Mark saying that, so that's handball, but the Liverpool defender juggling it with his hand wasn't. Literally insane, says Morocco Mole. And Cambiasso adding that the utter lack of consistency with these calls is infuriating. Leonard Brook on the live chat here below us says that the handball rule all depends on what colour shirt you're wearing. And Hobo adding, if it's a West Ham player that handles the ball, it's handball. If the team we're playing handles the ball, it isn't. Yeah, I'm not quite sure there's that much of a conspiracy, but there definitely seems to be some kind of issue with, what you might decree the bigger clubs. Rio, is there any point? I mean, I've always said I believe in VAR. The big problem is the people that that are in control of it. They're just referees, but in a different room. What's the point?
See, I've been always the opposite. I'm not for goal line technology. I'm not for VAR. I've always said that football's a game of human error. Now, whether that be our players, the opposition, the officials, all you're doing with bringing the technology in is making excuses for people, really, and offering different ways to bring disrepute into the game. It's taking away the talking points that makes this game so beautiful. Right? We're the only country in the world who spent 50 odd years trying to prove we didn't win the World Cup in '66 by saying it didn't go over the line. VAR is just an extension of that. You're taking away the talking points. You're trying to make it too clinical, too polished, but you're doing it in a way which doesn't work. If it was a system that worked, fine, but it's still open to interpretation. It's still open to people who don't know what the rules are. It's been operated by Muppets.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I mean, I kind of disagree with you to a degree. I think for things like goal line technology, I think it's great because I think for me, one of the things about VAR is that ideally it should be leveling the playing field. Where we've seen this reticence from referees and officials to give awards to teams outside of the perceived top 5 or 6 because it will result in extra criticism and extra exposure, publicity for those decisions. I think that's a very human thing. I think that's subconscious, and I think we all do things subconsciously that will protect ourselves. And I think a referee on the spur of the moment making the decision not to award a penalty for West Ham against Manchester United or Liverpool is partly down to that, because if they do, they know it's going to be scrutinised to the nth degree. It's going to be all over the media. The papers are going to be all over it. The social media catch of these large clubs is 10, 15, 20 times that of West Ham United and clubs like that. I can see why it happens, which is why I think VAR is a great idea, because ideally it should remove that lack of or kind of opportunity for bias. Just seen another good save by Lucas Fabianski coming from the edge of the box from Brentford. Mbuema, who just a few moments ago had a header unmarked just over the bar. But it hasn't worked out like that. This is the problem. All we're doing is passing the buck from a referee on the field to a referee in the VAR room. Now, I don't know if it's going to help, but we did learn this week, Rio, didn't we, that from next season, all the transcripts of the referee's communication during the game is going to be made available publicly after the match. Is that likely to help, do you think?
No, because you need those decisions to be kind of explained during the game. Yeah. For me, all it's going to do is it's another route to extra scrutiny after the game. I think it's in Germany, isn't it, where sometimes you actually get the decisions explained while play's going on. Right. And that's the way forwards. I mean, I will go back. I will agree that goal line technology, fine. It still takes away a talking point for me. But I get what that's involved. There's far too much money involved now for that not to be in play. VAR, it doesn't work. It's not fit for purpose. It's still open to interpretation, as we said, and although it's supposed to take away bias, I think it adds to it, because the people are making excuses to. We saw it in the first year of it. It seemed to be people making excuses to give the likes of the big 4 or 5 extra opportunity to score and take away anything from us and our contemporaries. But yeah, I'm just not a fan.
No,
it just winds me up.
is there anyone on the stream who is a fan? If so, let us know why. As I say, I'm a fan of the idea. It's just not working properly. I think the difference is, Rio, is that, you know, without wishing to labour the point, the point about goal line technology is that the ball's either over the line or it isn't. There's no ambiguity. It's not left to interpretation. It's a final decision that's clear to see. With VAR, my biggest contention with offsides, especially, is that how do we know that the picture we see on our screen is the exact point when the ball is left the foot of the player?
Exactly.
You know, it could be 2 or 3 frames sooner or later. And that can make the difference between the player being. So we don't know unless we go through it frame by frame to see whether, you know, that they have made a mistake or are deliberately trying to engineer a specific result from the VAR call. We don't know. But as I say, with goal line technology, it's absolute. There's no disagreement. You know, it's either over the line or it isn't. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly not right. Something needs to be done. And it's not helping us, is it? We can clearly see it's not helping us. Leonard Brook says, do they have similar problems with VAR on the continent? We've just heard Rio talk about Germany there, Len. If not, maybe the FA should hire the foreign VAR officials. They could just as easily do it from Paris as they can from Stockley Park. Now, you know what? That's a bloody good idea. If we had league officials doing Premier League games as VAR and the other way around, you kind of remove that bias to a degree. Because, you know, sort of working through this idea, a French official is not going to be subject to the British media camping on his doorstep or so much on a Monday morning if he's made a bad decision. What do you think, Rio? I mean, has Leonard come up with a solution there?
That's one of the best ideas I've heard in many a year. Yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
I've just seen Jared Bowen's preparing to come on. So we're throwing on another one of our tried and trusted and hopefully won't get injured members of staff in a bid to kind of rescue this game a bit further. But yeah, no, I'm all for it. I think that makes perfect sense. And why wouldn't you want more impartiality involved in the game? This is what it's here for, isn't it?
Len, looks like you might have come up with something there, mate. Both Rio and I agree it'd be a great idea. Anyone else agree? Or have you got any other ideas? How can we make VAR better? Or do we need it to? Should we just shove it out the door straight away? Now, Brentford have made some substitutions. Baptiste and De Silva are coming on for Damsgaard, who has missed 2 absolutely gilt-edged opportunities, and Visa, who scored the second goal, didn't he, after 43 minutes? So double change for Brentford. And sorry, Brio, you were just saying there was a West Ham change as well there. Bowen.
Yeah, Jared Bowen's preparing to come on. I don't think he's actually made an entrance yet. We just had a chance, by the way. Saeed Ben Rama surging from the middle, but as he's done a few occasions this season, he gets no power behind the ball, and it's rather it's like last week's effort against Man United. It's a very tame shot. He just trickles through the goalkeeper. Sadly, it's not David De Gea in goal, and he collects it rather nicely.
I think that's an excellent idea, says David O'Rourke, presumably referring to Lenny's idea about the foreign officials coming in to do VAR. There you go. Something's got to change anyway. It's clearly not working, and something has to change next season. But until then, it will just be the status quo being maintained, won't it? Decisions going in favour of largely the perceived to be bigger or wealthier clubs. Alf's adding, there does need to be some sort of independent review of VAR decisions and consistency. Not sure we're going to get that, though, are we? Unfortunately, I totally agree. But I think with the wealthier clubs benefiting, then it's going to be tough to get that to happen. But anyway, yeah, we're any luck with Bowen yet, Rio? I mean, I'm just seeing him warming up still on my screen. I know.
Yeah, I don't think he's come on yet. And there was me. I've had one more thing to the VAR issue, and that's it. The reason I hate it more than anything else in the world is it takes away the moment from the game.
Yeah.
Like, you score a goal, the crowd erupts, then all of a sudden, you know, you're told it's ruled out. And we've seen it increasing in various games this season, that even players are scoring, then don't know whether to celebrate or not. So there's the whole pregnant pause around the whole stadium where 60,000 people should be erupting in joy. Everyone's looking at each other going, is this going to be allowed or not? And
Yeah.
that's taken away from the shine of the game for me. This is one of the reasons why I love football, because, you know, just jumping around like a lunatic, hugging random strangers because you scored, it's been taken away. You know, you have to like there do a gentleman's excuse me. Would you mind if I shake your hand? Because it just, no, it's not for me.
If there are any random strangers out there who feel like a cuddle right now, Rio's clearly has options for you in that area. So please let us know. Contact the show. We're into the final 10 minutes anyway. West Ham still trailing by 2-0 here to Brentford. Both goals coming in the opening half. What do you make of the second half so far, Rio? I mean, it's been a little bit bitty, but so we've probably created just as much as Brentford. Easy to do, of course, when you're 2-0 down.
Yeah, from our point of view, we've offered a lot more. We've been a bit more proactive. As I say, we're on the attack again. We just forced another corner. Yeah, we've made a few changes, brought in the old guard, you know, and they've made an impact. Obviously, I think Brentford sort of foot off the pedal a little bit, but no, all credit to us. We've actually forced the issue a little bit and try to play our way into the game. So it's been a much more positive performance.
Yes.
I've still got that little nagging doubt in my mind that while we're gone for it, and I'm really happy we're giving it a go, and we've made a much better fist of things.
Yeah, I'm
still worried about we're going to pick up an injury. Jared Bowen is about to finally enter the fray. We've got a corner at the moment. He's coming on now. Bowen on for Danny Ings. So I'm going to get Mbama up front in his own, I would have thought, and Ings reverting to his role on the right and back to the lone striker.
Yeah.
Corner comes in, head away from Brentford. It's a poor delivery, to be honest. Ben Rama forces away in the box. Oh, very good surgery around the box by Ben Rama, picking the ball up the edge of the area. That forces another corner. So there's, I think, 6 minutes to go on my clock, 6 or 7 minutes to go. No, we're still not out of this complete, you know. No, we've been probably the better side in this second half. Corner comes in again, a little bit too deep. Brentford clear the lines. Only as far as I can't remember who that was. He swings the ball in the box, comes to nothing. It's been poor delivery from us. When we've had the opportunity to kind of deliver corners, deliver balls in from wide, it's been largely, apart from that chance where with the Mbon one, got this or that, it's been the delivery has been poor, which has kind of hindered us a little bit.
Interesting to note that Declan Rice points the furthest forward hammer, urging the rest of his teammates to push higher up the field, and it's actually from that which one of the corners which Rio is referring to. What do we? Let's have a quick look at some of the replacements that have come in today. I mean, it's a difficult one to gauge anyone by, but Emerson kind of regressed a little bit in recent weeks. How do you feel he's played today, and who do you think should be taking the left back slot on Thursday night?
I thought he was certainly at fault going missing for the opening goal. I think on the ball, he's a great player. You know, he passes really well. When he gets the ball and goes forward, he's not the most attacking left back, but when he does, he does do it with pretty much aplomb, brings players into play very well. Just every now and then, there's that lapse of concentration, which is probably why Aaron Cresswell has forced his way back into the side. He's a player I like, Emerson. I just think where he's been chopped and changed a lot this season. He's not had a really regular run. So I think, again, he's the victim of the way that we've kind of, our performances haven't really delivered on a consistent basis. And David Moyes looking to go back to his tried and trusted players to force the kind of the issue and get players back in form and fitness. Emerson's one of the four guys. I mean, I thought it was a bit harsh that he got dropped when he's probably producing the most consistent run in his West Ham career.
Yeah. Do you think he'll play Thursday?
I think it's going to be Cresswell. He's been rested today. You know, he also offers that opportunity from set pieces because his delivery is pretty much spot on from set pieces. So, yeah, again, one of the tried and trusted players that David Moyes loves. And you can see why. I know he's lost a bit of pace. He obviously had that abomination last year against Frankfurt. But, I think he's got demons to exercise in terms of European competition. So I think Aaron Cresswell is one of his trusted lieutenants and he'll be the one in possession of the left-back shirt on Thursday night.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious by the fact that he's not playing today. We've just seen another change for Brentford. Just trying to see who's coming and going. Less than 5 minutes to play now. It looks like Brentford are going to just see this one out for the 3 points. Bit of a nothing game, as we said, for West Ham today. No game, I guess you could say, is a nothing game, but in terms of what's ahead, it's certainly Sharda and Hickey coming on for Brentford. I didn't see who came off, but anyway, doesn't really matter. Not really that important as another shot comes in that Fabianski says. I think that's Mbuema. He's been everywhere today. I noticed this when we played them last. Mbuema was really effective. I've not really noticed him before playing a lot of football, but he's run the show today, and he must have had 4 or 5 shots.
He's one of those players who is very much under the radar. I noticed him last year that he was producing consistent performances without really shining. He went to the World Cup with Cameroon, another couple of good performances without being outstanding. But you can always see that he puts in a shift. He's got pace, he's got power, he's very direct. It causes a lot of teams a lot of problems. And he's the kind of player that I think if he joined us, we'd absolutely love him because the work rate he puts in and the effort and the desire he has. Very much under the radar. For me, he's an archetype of kind of Brentford player under Thomas Frank. He delivers everything you want from a footballer. He gives 100%. He offers a threat. He's got a little bit of talent. He's a good player.
We were kind of hoping to bring you updates from Alkmaar, our opponents on Thursday night today as well. But unfortunately, we can't do that because the Eredivisie have decreed that their match against FC Emmen today is not going to be played until 7 o'clock this evening. So you'll have to keep an eye on the KUMB.com forum for details of that game later on this evening. Alkmaar hosting FC Emmen in their only game before meeting West Ham again next week. We certainly won't have given them any nightmares if they're watching this performance, which I'm sure they are or will be during the week. We're just kind of what have we got, Rio? A minute or so left? 2 minutes?
Just over a minute of normal time. There's been a lot of changes this second half, so I'm expecting probably 3-4 minutes of added time. Like I said, second half we've been much more positive, much more of a threat. It looks like the players have actually woken up. We had a bit of a rocket at half time. From going from damage to limitation, we've actually looked like we're in the game. I won't be too disappointed with the outcome today. Before, everyone was happy with resting a lot of players. It's disappointing we lost, and it's disappointing that the fringe element hasn't really come to the fore and proved themselves. But we've recovered and we made a good fist of it in the second half.
Yeah, we have. We should have had a goal allowed to stand, I believe. If there was any consistency with with PGMOL and their officials, but hasn't turned out that way, unfortunately, because it was disallowed. Ings' 66th minute effort because of handball by substitute Divine Mbama, which we thought was a bit harsh. But anyway, probably time, guys, to start naming your man of the match. Who's your favourite player of the match? Let's get some of your thoughts in on the live chat. And of course, I've not mentioned it today. If you haven't already done so, please, if you look below the live chat window, there's a little thumbs up button. If you could just hit that for us, a little tap with your finger, or if you're on a desktop, use your mouse to get on over there. I'm told it all helps the stream. So please give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed today's show. Just do it anyway, even if you haven't enjoyed it. Go on, it does us a favour. So please give us a little thumbs up if you would. Rio, man of the match for you today.
That is a really tough call, to be honest. I say the first half, no one stood out, and rightly so. I wouldn't give it to anybody. Second half, we've really picked up, but again, no one's been completely outstanding. I probably would err towards. It's a tough one. Can I have another 20 seconds, man?
Well, look, while you're thinking about it, I'm struggling, and I'm thinking Fabianski, and I'm thinking, but he made a bit of a hash of the first goal, but he's made some really good saves in this second half. But No one's really stood out, have they? I mean, you can't really
No.
say any of the, the nine that came into the team did enough to stake a claim for a place in the starting lineup on Thursday. So yeah, I'm kind of erring by default to Fabianski, which is a bit of an odd one. But anyway, you've had your 20 seconds.
Okay, I'm going to go Said Benrahma, because since
Right.
his introduction against his former club,
Yep.
he's come on. We've had a lot more attacking impetus. He's been
Yeah.
at the forefront of most of the attacking kind of forays and the more positive notion of our team. So I know it's only been a cameo performance of half an hour, but he's probably been the brightest spark.
Yeah, I guess that says it all, doesn't it, about West Ham's performance? A player that didn't enter the fray until the 58th minute. He's a contender and a valid contender as well for man of the match. So there you go. What about you guys? Rio going for Said Benrahma. I'm going for Lucas Fabianski. What do you guys think? Let us know. Added on time, Rio. We've got 5 extra minutes to sit through. Oh my gosh, it's going to be a long 5 minutes.
2 of them have gone already, so we're going down to 3 more now. And we've had most of the possession. We're probing away at the Brentford box, but we're not really kind of creating much in the way of clear-cut opportunities. A lot of balls being delivered, again, not of the greatest quality, and it's easy for Brentford defenders to clear.
Yeah. I'm struggling to find things of note to talk about from this game, because it's just been one of those where you're almost kind of like happy to get it out of the way, because it means you're a couple of hours closer to the European semi-final on Thursday night. But it certainly has felt like a hangover, isn't it, from what we saw on Thursday, and you can clearly see that everyone in that team, and even the reserve players, have got one eye on that big tie on Thursday night, when of course West Ham go to Alkmaar looking to secure a place in the Conference League final. Craven says it's the easiest game Brentford will have had all season. Rio, do you concur with that view?
Well, judging on the first half performance, I would have said yes, but we have come back into it, and we've offered a genuine threat and made Brentford have to think. Fabianski just made an outstanding save. Brentford from a throw-in, ball comes in, great header. I think that might have been Mbeumo again. But yeah, Fabianski's dive to his left, clawed the ball away, and it could have been 3-0, which I think would have been a little bit unjust, because the way we played in the second half has been much improved, and we've offered everything. I think there's Brentford about 2 or 3 chances, but that's the most clear-cut one. It's a fantastic save.
I think I'm just about to see it, and interestingly, if it is the same move, let's just have a quick look here. The ball being played down the right-hand side, but not dissimilar in some ways to the. No, it must go. Yeah, the throw is coming now, but the move that led to the throw, very, very similar to the Alkmaar goal the other night, where it looked like we should have had a free kick on the edge of their box, but not given. And yes. We must be due a bit of luck from the officials on Thursday, Rio. Surely after these last few weeks. Well, that is a brilliant save, by the way. That is fantastic.
Well, we are due one, but I'd rather bank the luck if we do progress on Thursday and save it for the final. Obviously, if we don't progress, we're going to save it for next year's FA Cup final, or anything. We're banking loads of goals at some point next year, aren't we? We'll probably get given 6 on VAR in one game to make up for the shambolic performance we've had from the officials this season.
Wouldn't it be good if they introduced a system like that, where if you've been done 2 points or whatever, that they gave them to you? It'd be good at the end of the season. It would be a bit like Eurovision, when they do all the judges' votes, and at the end you get one vote that just changes everything and renders the whole first half of the voting system pointless. But
well, to bring it full circle, if it goes the way of like Eurovision, all the top clubs would get VAR points in the bank and been given like 27-0 wins at the end of the season just to get them into the Champions League spots. Not that football's corrupt or nothing.
No, not at all. Are we still playing, by the way? We must have played those 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, the 5 minutes are up. And the referee's just blown for the final whistle. We lost 2-0. It's a game very much a game where the whole club's in limbo. We've clearly got one eye on Thursday night. We didn't really want to see the players that we know are going to start and are going to be the ones that we rely on Thursday for the bulk of the game playing any kind of real part in this. But the fringe players didn't impress. We're 2-0 down, mostly from our own doing as well.
Yeah.
But as soon as the couple of the main lieutenants come onto the pitch in Declan Rice, inside Ben Rama, our game upped and we offered a genuine threat to Brentford. So it wasn't the walk in the park that they might have been expecting. But before the game, everyone was pleased that David Moyes made the 9 changes, rested the key players. You know, you can't be too critical of the way we performed today. You can criticise kind of the fringe players a little bit, but the whole club has got one eye on Thursday night because, as we rightly say, it's the biggest game we've had for 17 years. And it's the opportunity to win our first major trophy in 43. So let's look at the bigger picture rather than criticise today, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the right shout. It was a game where, you know, let's be honest, we weren't bothered about it at all, were we? It was just one of those where we were just happy to see it out. I think, quite frankly, the fact that we've got through it without losing any players to injury is probably the best win we could have out of the game today. And that kind of says it all, doesn't it, really? Yeah,
I think, again, it's that one eye on Thursday night. Rice come on, Benrahma come on, eventually Bowen, etc. And all we was hoping was they come through unscathed, which they have done by the look of it. So, you know, again, look at the positives. We haven't been embarrassed today. We fought our way back in the game. We haven't lost anyone through injury. You know, that eye on Thursday night is still very much evident, and there's still a lot of positives to look forward to going into Thursday night's game.
There certainly is. So, let's hope we take those now. The opportunity, because we've certainly set ourselves up for it. Someone joining us on the live stream before we chip out. He's been at the Brentford Community Stadium this afternoon, and there he is between Rio and I. It's Noam joining us live. Noam, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, fine. We've got you loud and clear. What's your view on what you've just seen today?
Second team gave the first team far too much to do when they came on. I think it's the summary of that one. I haven't seen the anything of the VAR decision. You know, it's all bounced around a bit in the box, and so I can't really comment on that. But what I would say is that I don't know what handball is anymore after the decisions we've had. What did it look like?
Rio, this all sounds very similar to the conversation we were having at the time. I'll let Rio explain what happened, because I'm still not quite sure.
So what we saw is it was incredibly unjust, incredibly harsh, but that's what we get from VAR, isn't it? The ball's hit the post. As it's come back out, it seems to have really very, very faintly glanced on Divan and Buma on the arm. I don't think it's on the hand, was it? It wasn't clearly on the hand. But because it's fell into the line of Manuel Lanzini after coming off his upper limb, who turned it back in, that's the only reason we can think why they disallowed it, because it's certainly not clear and obvious.
Yeah.
It was a joke decision, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Particularly after what we've had to put up with the last couple of weeks in terms of the Liverpool one and the Man United decision. It's a bit of a joke, and we've been quite upset about it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, obviously just having seen it live and all that, and it was sort of a bit pinbally in the box there. So, my thought was that if there was a handball in there, it was going to be something that was very, sort of an unlucky deflection or something, rather than the actually picking the ball up and running with it, as seems to be allowed these days. So, well.
Okay.
But,
what was the general view known on the performance overall from the away crowd?
Very disappointed with the sort of second string of the first half, and excuse me. You know, it was kind of resigned to it. I think everybody's more worried about Thursday than this, and you know, which it's understandable sort of thing. So I think Benrahma brightened things up when he came on. Gave us some width and was at least wanting to run at players, which you know, he had them worried every time. So my main worry was when he brought on the sort of the Rices and the Ben Ramas was that, you know, I was thinking, oh, Christ's sake, don't get injured.
Yeah, that was exactly the same as us. Yeah, I think we're all kind of a bit concerned about that, but I mean, it certainly made a difference, though, didn't it? We, as Rio pointed out several times, you know, we looked a little bit better with the introduction of Ben Rama and Rice and Bowen, and who else was it who came on? Embalmer, of course.
Yeah, Embalmer. So, yeah, so you know, it's not too downhearted, I think. Every confident, you know, put first team out against that, we win. 9 times out of 10, I think, at the moment, if we play all right.
Yeah.
But it didn't look like there were any injuries anyway, which was the main thing. It was getting through this game, making sure that everyone's fit for Thursday night.
For Thursday, that's it. Most important question of the day, though, did you see Eurovision last night, and were you disappointed with the UK's performance?
I didn't see it. I have actually seen one of the bands that played in it, the Aussie lot, Voyager. Good prog rock band there, and I have seen them in the past. So I didn't watch it. It's just not very good, is it? So
it's marvellous. Come on, it's great entertainment. How can you not be entertained?
No. Well, I'm an intelligent straight male, so it's not really aimed at me, is it? So.
Well, that's arguable, but anyway, we'll come. That's all for
which bit are you arguing about there?
Well, I've often been worried about them long flowing locks of yours. It's got to be said that slightly feminine hairline, which doesn't really look natural for a man of your age. But anyway,
look, jealousy is a terrible thing, right?
Next up, Noam, it's Alkmaar on Thursday night. Have we learned anything about the team today in terms of approaching that game?
Yeah, we need to put the first team out, and not the second team.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get my way into the station here. There we go. What we learned from the other night was the fact that they will at least have to be a little bit more adventurous in going forward. But you know, because they enjoyed a lot of possession. Hang on, I'm just going to stop here. Right, that's better. Yeah, they enjoyed a lot of possession, but you know, most of it really sort of didn't go anywhere with it. This time they're going to have to be, instead of getting so far and playing it square, they're going to have to try and play it between the lines, which plays a little bit more into our hands. Yeah. It's going to be a tough one. I'd rather we had another goal in the bag, but well, you just got to keep everything crossed, don't you?
Indeed. You up for an eyes up on Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be available. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not one of the 945 who are going to Alkmaar.
Okay, good stuff. Oh, we'll have a chat in the week about it then, about setting it up for Thursday.
Okay. Well, you going over there, are you?
Yes, I'll be over there. So we'll get you and Rio to run things, as they say, and perhaps you can. Yeah.
Okay. So it'll be me and your missus then, sort of setting everything up while you sit there drinking Dutch lager.
Hopefully, no lager for me though. Yeah. But, yes.
So okay, yeah, I'll do I'll do it.
Stuff. All right, okay. Well, there you go, folks. You heard it here first. Stream on for Thursday night for Alkmaar for the biggest game in West Ham's United history for about 17 years. I don't know, maybe longer than that. Is it a bigger game than the cup final? This one, chaps. What do you think?
I think it's the biggest game since 12 months ago when we played Eintracht. That way.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And how confident are we now? Are you feeling it for Thursday? You fancy a win?
I fancy a win, yeah. But I'm not going to. I would like to say confident isn't the word, but I'm optimistic. But you know, I've got a funny feeling they're going to put us through it again.
Okay. Oh God, not again. Yeah, Rio, last word. How do you see it going Thursday?
Sorry, my missus put shopping away, so I didn't hear a thing about that.
Thursday, how do you see it going? You confident?
I'm incredibly apprehensive. I mentioned at the top of the show. I don't think AZ are a fantastic side, and I think we have more within our capabilities of dispatching them. It's just the way that they set up. They're going to come out firing because they need to get that goal. It's the way that we deal with it. And if David Moyes' usual master plan of soaking up pressure and hitting the break comes to the fore, we'll be walking away with 2 or 3-0 victory. But this is West Ham. Things are never simple, are they? So that is my biggest fear. West Ham being West Ham rather than outright being outright.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll find out soon enough how it goes because we'll be back here on Thursday. Of course, all week before the game in the lead up, there's going to be lots of content related to the match on KUMB. Check out the news pages, the article.
Go right, son.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. There'll be plenty of opinion, I'm sure, from Preview Percy and lots of others ahead of, as we said, West Ham's most important game since Frankfurt last year. I'm sure if we get to the final, it'll be a slightly different story. But before we do go, there is, of course, one more match in the Premier League this afternoon taking place at Goodison Park. It has finished. Everton 0, Manchester City 3. The Citizens just 2 games away from retaining their Premier League title, which means Arsenal would lose out, having thought they were going to win it for much of the season. But there you go.
No, they're saying no. We never thought we'd win it. That's what we're coming out with now.
Oh, I see.
It's all season it's been, look, we're going to win the league, Oh, never thought we would. No.
Well, it doesn't look like they're going to now anyway, does it, for sure? Just one interesting thing, actually, before we do go, and Noam, I'm sure, we'll be keen to hear this particular snippet of information, but the XG stat from Everton versus Manchester City, not West Ham for a change, but Everton, Man City. Bear in mind, Man City won this game 3-0. XG stat, Everton 1.71, Man City 0.80. So it'd be interesting to see what sort of goals they scored. They were either all own goals or kind of spectacular efforts from 40 yards by the looks of things, judging by that. Rio, have you seen any of the goals yet? Man City goals?
Not yet, no. And I'm a man who loves his statistics. I love all that kind of data information around the game.
Yep.
But I think XG is an absolute bunch of nonsense.
Well, there you go.
Welcome to the game.
Oh, there you go. I don't know what West Ham's XG is, but it doesn't really matter because we lost and we're not worried because we've forgotten the game already. It's all about Alkmaar now, Thursday night. What game? What game, he says.
Where am I? What am I doing here?
That is the end of the stream. We've got to the end. Noam is still upright, so that's all good. And Rio and I are still in our seats. So
give it an hour in the pub.
Every cloud and all that. It has finished Brentford 2, West Ham United 0. The Hammers falling to defeat in our penultimate away fixture of the season. But as we said, everyone was. Rio talks about one eye on Thursday night. I think most people might have had 2 eyes on Thursday night, judging by what we've seen this afternoon. Pretty half-hearted display from the Hammers. But as we said, it's to Thursday night we go. Massive game. AZ Alkmaar in the second leg of the Conference League. Can the Hammers do it? We'll find out very soon. Come and join us live on the stream. Rio and Noam are going to be taking you through that game on Thursday night, taking us through the ringer as well, probably, no doubt. We never do it. We need to do it. Until then, my friends, take care. My thanks to Rio and to Noam and to everyone joining us on the live stream for the journey this afternoon. Hasn't really been much of a journey. It's been more like a trip down to the corner shop for a packet of 4 beers and back. But yeah, not very exciting. But there you go. We'll see you all again Thursday night. Take care of yourself, my friends. And until then, as always, I'm on your hands.
Bye.